Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. Today, we're working on 2011 Toyota Tundra at TRD, four-wheel drive, at my buddy Caleb's shop, and he's got a radiator that's got kind of a leaking issue. So, in this video, we're going to change out this radiator with the one that's already installed. Let's go. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take the skid plate off. There's 4 bolts. There's 12 millimeters, one here, one here. There's one back in here, or one here, and then one here. I've already taken 3 of them out, so we're going to take this last one out, and then the skid plate's going to come down. Now, if you're doing your radiator, make sure you watch, because you've got antifreeze right there. The antifreeze does not taste good. I don't know why dogs like it, but they do. So, a trick that I've learned when doing a lot of these skid plates, you want to be able to support it. As it is right now, this is the only bolt that's holding it. So as you put your shoulder onto it, as the bolt comes out, you'll be able to support it. It's not going to hit the ground and smash your fingers. Okay. You got it? Got to come forward. There we go. And it comes out. You got 2 hooks on the front that slide into the front member here, and then you've got 2 hooks on the side that hook in here. So it's you got to slide it to the side and pull forward at the same time, kind of like a helicopter drain valve for your radiator. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a bucket underneath here. We're going to open the radiator cap, which is up on the top, and drain all the fluid out of this. It should take about 3 to 5 minutes or so to get that going. So that's what we're going to do now. Because you don't want to be picking up a full radiator when you got the hose disconnected, because then you're just going to make a heck of a mess, and we don't need to be cleaning up Caleb's foot.
You open it on top, sir?
Yeah, go ahead and open the radiator cap. Yep. There are 3 of these little pins on this side, and there's 3 on the other side, and there's several ways to get them out. It's a lock pin that you can use. Oh, that one's on the ground now. Anyways, there's a, let's see if I can get it out so I can show you what we're looking at. Little screwdriver and a plastic trim tool work great. And that's what we're looking at right there. These are the little pins that hold the sides of the radiator on, minus the 2 bolts that we're going to be taking out. And there's 6 on each, there's 3 on each side. So, how you know you've got them loose is you'll hear a little pop. Hear that little pop? That means it's allowed to be removed. And it comes out just like that. So what you got here, this is your transmission cooler right here.
So this isn't the actual radiator?
No, that's your transmission cooler. Your radiator sits on the back.
So
some of them,
leaking?
Huh? This one.
Okay.
Because what happens, if this is leaking, you'll see your transmission temperature,
okay.
And then you'll also see transmission fluid laying on the ground.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I saw the big wet spot here, but I guess it bled from the radiator onto this.
Yep.
Okay.
And this is, like I said, this is your radiator. This is your transmission cooler, because these are your transmission lines right here.
Okay.
The 2007, 2008, 2009, and I think 2010, they had a separate cooler that sat right here instead of this bigger cooler. So you probably have the tow package installed. With the tow package, they put the bigger transmission cooler on there.
Because the transmission's working a lot harder, pulling a heavier load.
Exactly, that is correct.
So that's when the difference is between a tow package vehicle or a tow vehicle than a non-tow vehicle is keeping that
right.
cool. Okay.
Yep. And like I said, even on a regular truck, you want to keep the transmission cool, and so that's why they put the transmission cooler here, the smaller versions of it. But when you've got the tow package, it's going to give you the bigger transmission cooler.
Did not know that. Yeah, I thought this was an radiator.
So this is your overflow line right here. And when the fluid heats up, it's got to have somewhere to go because it's going to expand. So what it does is it comes over here comes down and it pumps up and it fills up your reservoir right here. And what we're doing is we're trying to drain the radiator, and it's almost done, thank goodness. I think it's about done enough to where we can turn it off and finish getting this radiator out and get the new one in. But that's what we're at right now. So your radiator is going to, again, as the fluid expands, as it gets hot, it's going to expand. It's got to have some place to go. If not, you're going to rupture a hose. If you've ever ruptured a hose, that's because the hose was either weak or you had a buildup of pressure somewhere that caused a buildup in your radiator. Instead of your radiator going, your hose went. So that's where we're at right now. And we found other issues, but that's another story later. Oh, we've already turned the drain valve off. We're getting ready to take off this lower radiator hose. I don't know if there's actually any fluid still in the line, but we're going to have the bucket ready to go. And there's a clamp, squeeze clamp right here. And the best way to do it is to grab it with a pair of pliers. And I'm right-handed, and I'm trying to do it left-handed. Okay, you squeeze it, and you gotta be able to, not break it though, but you wanna make sure you can get it moved. There you go, just work it around a little bit so you can get better grip on it. And you wanna try and get that off. There's a groove. What happens is these hoses, after they've been on for a long time, through the heat up and cool down cycle, they create a little track that these sit in. Now, everybody's seen these little picks, but they're not really picks. They're tube, they're hose. You run it in there, and it allows you to break the seal on the hose so that you're not fighting with it trying to get it off. And it's loose. It's just kind of an awkward position. Anytime you do a radiator, you want to make sure that you have new hoses to put on, because it just makes it a lot easier, less thing you have to worry about. There we go. You just work it off. And there you go. So now we got the lower hose loose. A little bit of dribble coming out. And always, try and clean up your mess as you go. That way, you're not laying in goobers. Yeah, well, sometimes, but the reason why I like explaining on the hard ones is because it's easy to see it on the top, but on the bottom it's where it's really hard. And if I explain it on the bottom, it makes it a lot more sense when you get up to the top. If that makes any sense. I'm backwards, I guess. Because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Bada boom, bada bing. When you're changing a hose, one of the reasons why it sticks on there is because the hose comes over and there's a little ridge right here. I don't know if you can see that, but that is what allows the clamp to clamp on. You clamp onto this side of the ridge, and it keeps the hose from sliding off. And what happens is, as it heats up and cools down, it creates a lock on there, and that's where you use the little pick to get in there and break that seal loose, and it comes off real easy. We got our hoses loose. Let me get this one out of the way, because it's just kind of in the way.
I have new hoses, not new hose clamps.
That's fine. So then, there we go. I just moved it out of the way, and I don't want to take it off because I don't want to introduce stuff into this water pump. So that's why I just moved it out of the way. All right, next what we're going to do, since I've got my handy dandy little pick in my hand, we're going to take this bolt out and this bolt out, and then there's, if you look down on the side, there's some little clamps all the way down that hold the fan shroud onto, yeah, there we go. There's going to be little clamp, basically, they're clamps, but I'll show them when you get out, that you just got to pop it off, and then the fan shroud's going to slide back, and it's going to give us just enough room to get this radiator out. So this one right here, these two bolts are the ever elusive 10 millimeter. So don't lose your 10 millimeter. Always, 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 always have a magnetic tray handy.
I can see the leak.
Yep. Oh, she nasty. She a nasty little girl.
There's your problem, mister.
There's your problem, mister. All right, so this should be able to, oh, this lifts up and out of the way. So there we go. That is all we need. All right, when I bring the radiator out, I will show you guys exactly how that actually hooks in there. But there's your culprit in there, Mr. Caleb. Yummy. There is a 12 millimeter bolt that holds the bottom of the radiator on. There's 4 bolts that hold the radiator on. This bottom one here, there's a bottom one here. We're going to take those 2 out first. Then we're going to come up here, take these 2 out, and then the radiator should come right out.
No, still torqued.
Yeah. But yeah, the helicopter mechanic just kind of reinforced what I already knew. Okay, so here's our new radiator. Get rid of that. So it sits in the truck just like this, okay? You've got one clip here, and you got a little, I just got the 2 clips down. You got these 2 clips here. So what we got to do is we got to lift it up and be able to shimmy it out. So that's what we're going to try and do now. It's just that there's...
Oh, hold on. I see you're hooked on the shroud. Can you pull the shroud up on my side a little bit? There you go. All right, now you can see the radiator. Oh, let me get on the other side, that pet cock. This was the shroud. All right.
There's one.
You should be good.
And this is your radiator. And as you can see, we've got some goobers here where it's been leaking. It's been leaking for a while. But also another thing you want to make sure you look at is when you clean, because we got a, looks like we got a hole right here on it. But you also got this little bit of stuff that you want to kind of make sure you keep clean on that. There's really no really easy way to clean that, but just be mindful of it. Your shroud's going to sit right inside of here, and inside of there. There's two little clips. Two little clips right here on the bottom of the shroud that'll set inside there so it keeps it in place. So, yeah. All right, now we're going to slide this one in. It's going to go just the opposite of what we did. So the beautiful thing about cars is that it's just the opposite going in as it was coming out. And usually they go in a lot easier than they came out. Okay. There's that side. Yeah. There we go. Okay, we got it.
We're free on both sides now.
We're free on both sides. Then.
And the shroud is in the clips.
Okay. So, there. It's set.
I'm going to say in and out of these is a lot easier with two people.
Yes.
If you have one on the bottom to...
If you have somebody to help on the bottom guide that fan shroud without having to take the fan clutch out and the fan shroud, that's the way to do it. So, now we got everything in there. Best way to do this is just get it started. Get each bolt started. Get a couple turns on it. So that it's going to stay right where it's supposed to. That way, you're not trying to fight with trying to get holes lined up, because inevitably, sometimes they line up and sometimes they don't. But if you leave them loose, leave your mounting hardware loose, allows you to move it side to side a little bit if you need to get it all set. If you don't have a set of these, highly recommend it. They're the box end ratchet wrench. Dude, these things are phenomenal. I love using these because it just makes it so much easier. Caleb was nice enough to let me break out his brand new Husky tools. I don't know what a woodworker's doing with a mechanics tool set, but hey,
Thanks, Home Depot.
to each their own. Home Depot, not a sponsor yet.
One thing I noticed on that, there was like paper or something inside this thing. I don't know if it's packing material. I want to say something to you about that. Oh, looks like it popped right out when you pulled it. I saw a bunch of gunk.
There you go.
Cool.
Don't make the same mistake I've made numerous times and leave the clamps on the old hoses. Because you don't want to have to try and fight getting clamps on.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's real fun to finally leave the hoses on and realize there's no clamp.
Yeah.
I would do that. I would definitely do that.
Not that I've ever done that before.
Robbie's like, I would do that too.
Nothing worse than trying to launch an alert aircraft and you realize you forgot to put the clamps on. The one thing you got to remember with these spring clamps is when you've got them open and you release them, make sure you got a hold of it. If not, you're going to spend hours in the shop looking for it because it's going to bounce off of everything.
Oh, look at that.
Get it adjusted right. Okay. All right, so we've got the radiator replaced. Off camera, I put about 1.5 gallons of coolant in it. So now I'm going to have Caleb go ahead and start the truck. And what I'm doing is I'm watching to make sure that the radiator fluid goes down so that we can continue adding it as it needs to. And it looks like we only had to do was fill up the radiator. Uh-oh. Got overflowing. Shut it off, Caleb. All right, let's put the cap back on.